If you learn how to tell great stories, you'll make a serious amount of money on social media because storytellers are the people that get your attention, keep their attention, and keep you coming back for more. And in today's episode, I want to talk to you about the importance of storytelling in social media. So when you think about storytelling, sometimes you think about like a movie, and movies are great at storytelling. I just recently saw Jurassic Park before it came out. Through the movies, we have this thing that's called Mystery Movie Monday, where you can see movies that come out before they actually come out. And they were telling quite the story. They were like multi-stories that were happening throughout this film. And they got our attention and they kept our attention all the way until the end. And so when you're talking about telling stories on social media, obviously you can't tell a 2-hour story like a movie does, but you're going to be doing more shorter stories. Now, it could be a 10-minute story, it could be a 3-minute story, or it could be a 45-second story. Either way, you've got to get your audience's attention and keep them there. And we're going to talk about the different things that go into when you're mastering the art of storytelling. So as I'm talking to you about storytelling on social media, I want you to think to yourself, when is the last time you watched a video all the way through and they were telling you some kind of story? Okay, what was it? So I was watching a video of a Karen doing really dumb things in her neighborhood, and I was watching the story. I was watching the moment that something was happening with Karen, the confrontation, and then how everything escalated, and I could see what was happening, and all I wanted to do was find out what happened at the end, but I also was engrossed in the entire story, okay? And you're thinking about one too. You're thinking about a video that you saw online that got your attention and kept your attention. Well, the thing about that is that there are a couple different layers to what was happening with you when you were listening to or watching that story, and things that I was experiencing as I was watching the story unfold when I was watching. So I want to tell you 5 of the things that happened through the art of storytelling. Okay. So obviously we all can think about a story or something that happened on social media of something that went viral, right? Of something that just went mega viral. Okay. And if you're saying to yourself, I want to go viral with my content, then psychologically you have got to strategically create this story and give people a reason to watch and listen to this entire story. And so one of the things that people do with the art of storytelling is sometimes they will tell you the ending and then they'll tell you all the rest of the story, right? So I watched a story recently on TikTok where we were talking about how what's his name? Kane, he got taken for like $13 million by his business manager. So they started it off by he got taken for $13 million. And you're just like, what happened? So then they start you from the beginning of Dane's career and so on and so on. When he introduced his business manager, to when his business manager started taking money from him, to when he started doing things that were just ridiculous, and when he got found out by another business manager, and then he got arrested, so on and so on and so on. So what got me initially was the creator, the narrator, told me the ending before they gave me the whole story, and it made me want to watch the entire thing, right? Now, for you, sometimes you're looking at the title of what someone has put in a video, and you're saying to yourself, oh, this is not going to end well, or this is going to be whatever it's going to be. And they got your attention because they used curiosity, right? Because they got text on screen that is making you want to know, oh, what's going to happen? Because you don't know the ending. I got the psychological trigger too when I was just like, what? How did that happen to him? Now I want to know the story. So you actually can use either one of those art forms to tell the stories that you want to tell. You just kind of got to decide, okay, what story am I telling? How do I get people's attention at the beginning? How do I hook them there? What's the cliffhanger that they're on until they get to the ending? And what's the magical ending that makes them go, oh my God, whatever that feeling is about your ending? You got to think about that before you actually start to tell the story. Otherwise, what'll end up happening is that you'll tell this long story. It'll just go on and on and on. And the truth is that when you're mastering the art of storytelling, people aren't experiencing that. that. People are hanging on for dear life for your entire video, and they don't want to miss a beat of it. Okay. That is how you know that psychologically you've got people. So the second thing is we call it the 3-part structure, which is the hook, the build, the payoff, which is very similar to what I just shared in the first one, right? The hook, what happens in the beginning? Again, could be the text on screen. 2, it could be you telling us the beginning before the ending, or you telling us some of the middle, whatever, right? And then there's the ending. There's the hook. I got your attention. I'm building it up. And then bam, here's the payoff. Here's the result of this story, right? So for example, I've been watching some people in Vegas who are buying these $1 million coin machine things, and they're putting in quarters and pushing the chips all the way until they fall over. And I know this person just invested a bunch of money into this particular crane or whatever, and I'm watching them do all of this stuff to then win all this money. It's got me with the hook of how everything looks, the bill. I'm watching a few of the dollars kind of come through, the quarters come through, and then the payoff is when it's like the big crash and they make a whole lot of money because now the chips fall over in a good way and they make a whole lot of money. That's the hook. That's the build, and then that's the payoff. So you can do that in your stories. So then the third thing about telling stories is that sometimes when you are telling stories, you're telling them based upon each platform, right? So I've been talking about video and short video, okay? Now, I could be telling you a really long story here on YouTube that is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, 30 minutes, however long, right? So I've been watching a lot of storytelling as I've been watching the Diddy trial, and some of those videos are like an hour long, and I'm watching all of that, and it's giving me the hook, the build, and the payoff, right? But some of the platforms that you can actually tell stories on are not actually video. They can actually be written content. And so sometimes I'll have long posts on LinkedIn that get people's attention with a hook. Then there's the build, what's happening in the middle with my content. And then the ending is the payoff. But also you could do carousels. Now, I will tell you about a carousel. You've got to keep that thing short to the point. If you're going to do a carousel, you can't do a 10 image carousel with so much text on it. People are just not going to read it. You've got to keep that short and to the point, or people are they're just going to go away and they're never going to get to the ending of your story. So you can do long form content like here on YouTube. You can do short content like on TikTok or Reels or Facebook Reels. You can do long form posting like you do on like Facebook or you do on LinkedIn, but you also can do short carousels. And again, you still got to hook them in the beginning. You still got to build them in the middle. And then you still have to give them a payoff at the ending to make them feel like this was worth me with this carousel post. Now, if you are new to telling stories on social media or what have you, then one of the things you want to do is you want to go and watch people who have done it well. Okay. You want to go and watch people that have done it well. The number one person that has done it the best, I think, is Risa Tisa. She had the series that was called Who the F Did I Marry? Okay. A series called Who the F Did I Marry? She went crazy viral, went from like 10,000 followers to over 3 million. She's got the movie rights that are already, a movie's being produced, and all this stuff is happening, and changed her entire life because she learned and knew the art of telling a great story. She hooked you in with the title, and then she built up to certain things, and then the payoff. It was 52 videos, 10 minutes long each, and you were just hooked in with this girl's life series. Okay. Not to mention there was another girl who she found like she was digging something in her yard and she felt like she had found a body. Okay. And she started filming it, talking about it on TikTok. She called the police, and she's keeping us going with the story. And we're waiting for the day that the police come to dig up to see if there's something in her yard. They bring out the cadaver dogs. The cadaver dog says, hey, there's a body in here, all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And like, she went to like millions and millions of people followed her as well because she was just telling a story. But she knew to not try to tell us everything in every video. She was telling us enough on one video, and then enough on the next, and then enough on the next, so on and so on. And then to the point to where we found ourselves like hooked in with her storyline. Now, as she got the big payoff, we got the big payoff seeing what the end result was, but she also got the payoff with payment. The fifth thing I want to say is that when you're telling your story, okay, it's important to know that you can decide what part of your story you're going to tell. You don't have to tell people everything, or you can tell them everything if you want to. You could decide what that is. But in the art of telling your story, you have to remember that people don't know you, they don't understand you, your thought process, all the different things. And the more that you allow them into that entire process, the more that they can relate to you. So for example, Risa Tisa, when she was telling her story, she was telling you all the nitty gritty things, all the good, the bad, the things that she was doing wrong, the things that he was doing wrong. She brought you into the entire thing. She did not spare anything. She was telling it all, and you could empathize with her. You could also say, girl, what was you thinking? You were on this journey with her as she was telling her story. And so same thing goes for you. So if your goal is to become a great storyteller, you've got to go, okay, you've got to practice telling your own story. You've got to see when you are just going on and on and on and on and on, and figure out how to not do that. And then figure out how to hook people in, because that first 1 second, 2 seconds of that video or that post is the most crucial. But then once they're there, you got to keep them. And then what is the payoff at the ending once they get to the end of your story? All of that is going to be significant when it comes to telling great stories, getting people to consume any kind of content you have online, and getting you your desired result, which is probably views, follows, and then money in the bank. Okay. So if you got any questions about this, the art of storytelling, feel free to comment here on this video. If you're listening to this on a podcast, come on YouTube at Keenya Kelly on YouTube and ask me anything in the comments. Okay. So thank you so much for listening and watching.